testimonials, referrals, reviews, credentials, the stories your clients tell about you when you're not in the room. These are all examples of social proof. And social proof is one of the most influential and powerful tools you can use in marketing. But the question is, are you using it in a way that builds trust or in a way that borrows it? To understand why social proof works so well, it helps to understand first what your prospect's brain is actually doing when they encounter it. See, every decision carries risk. And the bigger the decision, whether it's hiring a consultant, choosing a new software platform, investing in a program, the more your brain wants reassurance before committing. And here's the problem. You often can't fully evaluate the quality of something you're buying until after you've already said yes. You can't experience a service before you buy it. You can't know how a product performs in a specific situation until it's in your hands. And that's when the brain does something remarkably practical. It looks at what other people did. This isn't laziness. It's an efficiency mechanism that's been with us long before marketing existed. For most of human history, following the behavior of others, it's what kept people safe. If everyone in your group avoided a particular path, you avoided it too. Because the cost of ignoring the group's experience in those situations and times, it could be fatal. If others gathered at a particular watering hole, it was probably a safe bet that you could enjoy that water too. The same wiring is active every time your prospect reads a testimonial, checks a star rating, or asks a colleague, have you heard of this person? Their brain is running a quick calculation. People who seem like me have done this, and it worked for them, so it's probably safe for me too. And that's the core of why social proof is so powerful. It's not just about popularity or credibility. It's about reducing the perceived risk by borrowing other people's experiences. And the more the other people look, sound, or operate like you, the prospect, the stronger the effect. A testimonial from someone in the same industry, facing the same challenge, carries far more weight than a generic 5-star review. And it's because the brain is asking, would this work for someone like me? Not just, is this good? And this applies whether you're selling a service, a physical product, or a digital course. Anywhere someone is making a decision with incomplete information, which is nearly everywhere in our business, social proof helps the brain bridge the gap between uncertainty and confidence. That's what makes it such a natural, powerful tool. And it's also what makes it worth considering carefully how you use it. So let's look at how social proof plays out across 4 zones in a spectrum. Remember, as we do this, the tool itself is neutral. It's the application that determines where it falls. On one side, you have influence, honest representation. This is social proof at its best. You're displaying genuine feedback that gives an accurate picture of what it's like to work with you, buy your product, or use your service. It's the good, the specific, in the real. Here's what it looks like in practice. Your testimonials page or the testimonials on your page include client results and context. For instance, we increased our email engagement by 40%, but it took about 3 months of consistent effort after so-and-so helped us develop the strategy. You share the reviews with real names. And those reviews represent a range of experiences rather than just the most dramatic success stories. And when someone asks for a reference, you connect them with a client whose situation is similar to theirs. Here's why it works. It helps prospects calibrate. They're not just hearing, this person, this business, this product is great. They're getting enough detail to answer their real question. Will this work for someone like me? When people feel like they're getting the full picture, trust goes up. And trust, not hype, is what leads to clients who stay and customers who come back. Remember in this, transparency isn't a liability. It's a filter. The right clients will be drawn to honest representation. The wrong clients, the ones who'd be disappointed anyway, they'll self-select out. And that's a feature, not a bug. One step away from influence is persuasion. This is like strategic presentation. When you're using it this way, you're still completely truthful, but you're being very intentional about which stories you highlight and how you present them. You lead with your strongest, most relevant examples. You structure your proof to make the value easy to see. In practice, this might look like when you're talking with a prospect who runs a consulting firm, you lead with testimonials from other consultants rather than your retail clients. Your website features 3 detailed case studies that represent your core service, not every project you've ever done. Or you mention, I've worked with 30 plus service-based businesses over the past 5 years, because the number and specificity build credible context. Why this works is because not all proof is equally relevant to every prospect. So curating which stories you'll lead with based on who you're talking to isn't dishonest, it's helpful. You're making it easier for them to find the proof that actually matters for the decision they're trying to make. The key is you're selecting what to show, you're not distorting anything. Everything you share is real and representative. You're just making sure the most relevant evidence is the easiest for that person to find. Now, you can easily move from persuasion into pressure, and this happens when you start engineering social signals. It's a drift, and here's where it starts. It's also where well-intentioned business owners sometimes land without meaning to. Because in this area, the social proof is still based on real information. But the presentation of that is designed to trigger urgency or a fear of missing out rather than supporting a thoughtful decision. Here's what it looks like. It's a website that shows a pop-up. Jennifer from Portland just booked a strategy session 3 minutes ago. Very well could be a real booking, but the notification is timed in a way to make visitors feel like they need to act before something runs out or they miss out on the opportunity. It's especially true when those notifications seem to keep popping up the longer you're on a page. Or you mentioned in a follow-up email that several other businesses in your space have reached out this month. It might be technically true, but the intent of doing so is usually to create a competitive pressure rather than provide a useful context. Or on your website, you feature only your most extraordinary client results, which language that might imply those results are typical. Our clients have seen 300% growth when they invest in this service. Now, here's why it falls into the pressure zone. The social proof itself is real, but it's been repackaged to compress the decision rather than to inform it. Your prospect is no longer thinking, let me evaluate whether this is right for me. They're beginning to think, oh, I might miss out if I don't act now. Now keep in mind, this drift, it doesn't usually start with a strategic decision to pressure anyone. It starts when a marketing course recommends notification pop-ups to increase conversions, and you install the plugin without thinking about the effect it has on someone's decision process. Or when a slow month makes you reach for your most impressive number without adding the context behind it that makes it honest. It's promising that overnight success when that overnight success actually takes some time and a certain level of effort, money, or resources. Now, once you're in and pressuring people, it can become a slippery slope where you all of a sudden find yourself drifting into manipulation. Manipulation is when you're manufacturing credibility. Manipulation in social proof, it isn't always outright fabrication, although that certainly exists. More often, it's real information that's been repackaged to create a perception that doesn't really match reality. Everything you're saying technically happened, but the impression it creates is deliberately misleading. What this looks like. You've seen as seen in logos on websites that imply earned media coverage. But sometimes in reality, that feature was actually a paid contributed post, a sponsored placement, or an article the business owner purchased the right to publish. The logos are real. The fact it was seen in that publication is real, but the implied credibility given by that publication, it's not. See, as a prospect, you'd be assuming the journalist vetted this person's expertise or the publication did. What actually happened is somebody paid for the shelf space. Or consider someone using the title best-selling author. It's very likely the book technically hit #1, but it may have only been for an hour in an obscure subcategory on Amazon during a coordinated launch window designed to game the algorithm. Is the claim true? Technically. Does it represent what a reasonable person would understand best-selling to mean? Not even close. Then there's the quote taken out of context. The entertainment industry has done this for decades by pulling a fragment from a mixed review to make it sound like a rave. A reviewer writes, "This is a must-see if you suffer from insomnia." And the poster you'll see reads, "A must-see." If you've ever seen a movie promoted that way and then sat through it wondering what that critic was actually watching, you may have been experiencing this tactic firsthand. Now, this is destructive beyond the immediate deception, and that's because manufactured credibility doesn't just mislead the person who encounters it, it erodes trust in all social proof, including yours. Every gamed bestseller badge makes legitimate achievements less believable. Every paid as seen in logo makes genuine media coverage less impressive. And when trust in social proof declines across the entire market, the businesses playing it straight pay the price for the ones who aren't. The bottom line, most purpose-driven and values-driven business owners would never fabricate a testimonial outright. But understanding the subtler forms of manufactured credibility matter because some of these tactics get taught in courses and presented as standard practices you should use. And knowing where the line is helps you recognize when the advice you're following might be ultimately pulling you somewhere you don't really want to go. Here's something I see with business owners I work with. They have incredible social proof and they're barely using it. Or they're using it in ways that don't actually help their prospects make a decision. The most common version, a testimonials page full of kind words that all essentially say the same thing. For me, it'd be something like, "Mike is great to work with." It's nice to read, but it's almost useless for someone trying to make a decision whether to hire you. The reason? Most business owners collect testimonials reactively. Someone sends a nice email. You ask if you can use it. They say yes, and onto the website it goes. But you never guided the conversation toward the details that would actually help a future prospect. Here's the difference. Generic social proof says something like, "Working with so-and-so was a fantastic experience. Highly recommend." A decision-enabling version of social proof says, "Before working with so-and-so, I was spending hours every week second-guessing my marketing. Within the first month, we identified that my homepage was trying to speak to 3 different audiences. Once we clarified the message, my consultant bookings increased by over 60% during the next quarter. The biggest surprise to me was how much simpler everything became once the foundation was clear." See, same client, same genuine experience, but that second version answers the questions your prospect is actually asking. What was the problem? What happened? What changed? Could this work for me? See, that's not pressure. That's not manipulation. That's helping your best advocates tell stories that serve future clients. Think about social proof like the glow of a campfire. When your fire is burning well, when your service genuinely helps people or your product genuinely delivers, there's a natural warmth that attracts others. People see the light, feel the heat, and want to come closer. Your testimonials, your referrals, your case studies, they're the glow. They let people who are still in the dark see that there's something worth approaching. But when you try to make that glow brighter than the actual fire, people come closer expecting warmth. They don't find it. They end up feeling misled. They don't just walk away, they potentially warn others. Your goal as a business owner and entrepreneur isn't to manufacture a brighter glow. It's to tend a fire that is generally worth gathering around. And then let the people who've experienced that warmth tell others what they've found. This week, here's an action step I want you to take. Let's call it the social proof audit. Pick 3 places social proof shows up on your marketing, such as a testimonial on your website, a credential you use, or an as seen in claim. It could even be how you reference clients' results in conversations or proposals. For each one, ask, 1, is this helping someone make an informed decision? Or is it engineering an impression? 2, would a prospect feel the same way about this proof if they knew the full context behind the claim? 3, where does this fall on the spectrum? Is it influence? Am I using persuasion? Am I pressuring? Am I manipulating? Or is it somewhere in between? No judgment. Just take an honest look at whether your proof is building trust or borrowing it. That awareness is what turns your use of social proof from something you accidentally use into something you use with intention. And it helps you decide where to draw your line. Not sure whether your use of social proof or your marketing is building the kind of trust that turns prospects into clients? You can keep figuring it out alone, or you can book a free Now What Clarity session. During our time together, we'll look at what you're doing today and come up with a quick win plus your next best marketing move.